So today we are talking about Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. And so the main theme, this chapter has several themes actually, but one of them would be talking about discipline. So raise your hand if you know what discipline means. Does anyone here know what discipline means? Yeah, you know what discipline means? Good. So when people think of the word discipline, sometimes they have this very negative thinking about what the word discipline is. Like kids think, oh, my parents are going to discipline me, meaning like they're punishing me for doing something wrong, right? So how many of you have been disciplined before? Maybe you couldn't play games for 1 week, or you had to stay at home for a whole month? Raise your hand if you've been disciplined before. Eugene, yes? Oh, you too? Miss Lee? Very good. So I've definitely been disciplined for being a bad kid. However, there are other different types of meanings for discipline. For example, discipline could mean your parents bringing you to church every Sunday. So they discipline you by making you go to church almost as a habit. So you almost start to want to go to church every Sunday. Another good example of disciplining would be like having a certain diet. So you only try to eat healthy foods like fruits and vegetables. And another type of discipline would be maybe like when you study for school. So raise your hand if you know when it's time to put away the movies, the TV, and the video games, and raise your hand if you know when it's time to study for school. How many of you can be like, your mom says, hey, it's time to study, and you can just put everything away and start studying? Raise your hand. Nobody? Okay, so you have a long way to go. So there's still time for everyone to be disciplined. And another theme in this chapter is it's talking about race. So it talks about us running from this race and this entire crowd of people cheering us on. So this applies to life and church. So let me read this verse from later on in chapter 12. It's verse 11. It says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." And everyone is watching us in this great race. So life is like a race. However, we have many struggles, right, in life. Life is not easy. How many of you have cried? Raise your hand if you've cried in life. Because life is tough, right? Yes, I've cried too. But everyone, it's almost like the Olympics. Everyone in the crowd, they're watching us run this great race. And, you know, we might fall down or something, but everyone is going to cheer us on. And it's the exact same way with Christianity. God is going to be there from the start until the finish. Yes, you might have bad days, you might have great days, but the most important part is you finish that race. You finish that race to become a dedicated Christian. And let me show you an example. It's a video. So how many of you have been in a competition before? Raise your hand if you've been in maybe a race. Have you been in like a school race? Track, something? Okay, raise your hand if you've been first place before. Eugene? Oh, very good. Oh, yes, Ryan. Raise your hand if you've been last place in a competition. Me too. I've been last before. How did it feel? It didn't feel very good, right? Like you were embarrassed, right? Maybe people laughed at you, But just know that when you come to church, you are in a very safe environment. So, you might not know anything about the Bible, right? So, honestly, nobody is born like knowing everything about the Bible, knowing about God. However, everyone at church, we're here to cheer you on. And much like that, so we have the Olympics, and this is a great example of discipline. Olympic athletes. Imagine how disciplined they are, right? So they basically train their entire lives just for that one Olympic competition. It could be track, it could be swimming, it could be the Winter Olympics. However, think about how disciplined they have to be. Maybe they have to wake up at a certain time every day. They have to wake up at 5 in the morning. They have to go to the gym. They have to do training. They can only eat certain kinds of foods. And then they have to improve their weaknesses. So much like that. So the key in life and the key as a Christian is not to finish first. It's not always about finishing first. Maybe you can finish last place. However, just because you finish last, it doesn't mean that you can't be a hero. It doesn't mean that you can't be a winner. And I have this video to share for everybody, so please, Pastor Shin, if you can play this video, everyone can watch at the screen.
Tom Hammond and Craig Masbach back at Olympic Stadium in Barcelona, coming up to the men's 400-meter semifinals. Here are the lane assignments. Steve Lewis in lane 3. Top 4 to Wednesday's final. Steve Lewis in lane 3. Roberto Hernandez out quickly in 4. Now down the backstretch.
Ismael on the left of the screen is running very, very quickly. And inside of Lewis, Sunday Bada of Nigeria.
And Derek Redmond of Great Britain has pulled up with an injury. Redmond is out.
Derek Redmond, the British record holder, and an important member of that British 4x400 meter relay team, as he doesn't want anybody to help him.
It'll be Lewis to win in 44.50.
And look at this. He's going to try to finish his semifinal race. The British have a certain tradition of running, which you have to respect.
A bizarre finish to this first semifinal in the men's 400 meters. Derek Redmond of Great Britain pulled up with an injury halfway down the backstretch. He's fighting off those trying to help him to finish the race in his lane. And now the pain too much. Swelling throughout Olympic Stadium as Redmond, with assistance this time, approaches the finish line he had wanted so desperately to reach. That is the Olympic spirit.
Thank you, Pastor Shin. So just to provide a little context about that man's name was Derek Redmond. He was a famous track runner from Britain, and he trained all of his life just to finish that race. But he tore a part of his right muscle, so that's why he fell down. And imagine the pain that he felt. He couldn't even walk properly, but he still felt this need to finish this race. And then the man who came out to help him was his father, and his father was saying, "What are you doing? Why are you trying to finish this race?" And he said, "I have to finish this race." So that's why his father said, "Okay, well, let me help you." And you can see in that video, everyone in the crowd helped cheer him on. And the funny part about that, this was during the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, Spain, and no one remembers who finished first place in that race. However, everyone remembers Derek Redmond, the guy who felt the need to finish. So everyone, let's try to act like this in our lives. Even when life is tough, everyone is here to cheer you on. Amen?